You've walked 1,000 mornings and almost never seen a dead bird, so where do they go? Not vanishing, not mystery, a quiet system at work. The moment a small bird fails, the landscape moves it out of sight with startling speed. And once you know how that system works, you'll understand why your yard looks so alive day after day. Welcome back. In the next few minutes, we'll trace what really happens in those final hours. The hidden places birds choose, the cleanup crews that work while you sleep, and the simple things you can do so more birds live to sing tomorrow. Stay with me to the end for one reveal almost everyone misses. How 4 forces overlap inside a single day. Predators, scavengers, insects, and people, so thoroughly that most small bodies disappear before sunrise the next morning. Start with what you already see. Your yard is a network of roots, perches, hedges, and lookouts. When a bird is healthy, it moves boldly through open space, sings from high posts, and chitters contact calls that sound like relaxed conversation. When a bird is sick or old, everything about that movement changes. It slips lower, chooses shade, and stays close to cover because weakness draws attention. Birds have been hiding vulnerability for millions of years. The ones that showed it openly did not live long enough to pass along the habit. That's why you rarely witness the last minutes. The end, for most songbirds, plays out under the skirt of a shrub, inside ivy at a fence base, in a clutch of tall grass, under your deck, in a brush pile, or in a natural cavity in a tree where eyes do not travel. If you want to know where you would be most likely to find one, don't look in the middle of the lawn. Look where your gaze almost never goes. The shady foot of dense hedges, the dark corner behind the air conditioning unit, the narrow space under the lowest stair tread, the tangle of vines on the back fence, or the leaf-littered edges beneath evergreen branches. And still, even in those places, you'll often see nothing because removal is fast. Predators are the first layer. Cooper's hawks, sharp-shinned hawks, and neighborhood owls remove small birds quickly, often carrying them into cover before you can blink. Corvids, crows, and jays notice trouble instantly. A quiet yard can erupt in a hard scold that tells you a raptor just took someone. Domestic cats, when allowed to roam, take a devastating number each year. It's uncomfortable to admit, but many studies summarized by groups like the USGS and Audubon point to free-roaming cats as a leading human-linked cause of bird mortality. Predators don't leave evidence where you'll see it. They take their meals to hidden places and the scene goes silent. If a body makes it past the predators, scavengers take over. Crows, gulls in some regions, foxes, raccoons, opossums, and rats patrol the edges of yards and alleys. At night, they read scent and shape the way you read a lit kitchen. By morning, what was visible at dusk is simply gone. Heat accelerates the process. In warm weather, a small passerine can be reduced to feathers within hours. Insects finish what's left. Ants and carrion beetles work with a kind of relentless civility, taking tiny pieces into the soil. Blowflies arrive quickly in warm seasons. Thin bones and low body mass mean small birds cross from body to nutrient much faster than larger animals. If you've ever wondered why you sometimes find only a faint fan of feathers, that's the echo of a process already well along. The next layer is human cleanup, and it's bigger than most people realize. Window collisions often happen at first light when reflections are strongest, and building staff or homeowners clear them before the day begins. Road crews sweep roadkill, landscaping teams tidy hedges, park staff check paths at dawn, rehabbers and citizen science volunteers collect collision victims for reporting. The point is not to erase, but to maintain spaces people use, and in doing so, they shorten the window in which you might see remains. Finally, there's you. Observer bias is real. You're not outside at all hours. Your eyes scan the middle of the path, not the edge. Your brain is tuned to motion and color, not a small, still shape that blends into oak leaves the same brown as its back. Cornell Lab of Ornithology has often emphasized detection probability in studies and field courses. You notice what you're prepared to see, and you miss what you're not looking for. In yards, that means you watch the feeder and the open grass and forget the shadows. That's why most people conclude, I never see dead birds, so it must be rare. It isn't rare. It's hidden, fast, and redistributed. Think of it like a 24-hour cleanup, though not a formal clock. More a rhythm that often completes a loop in a single day. A weakened bird chooses cover and goes still. If a predator finds it, it is carried away. If not, a scavenger often arrives by night. If not, insects begin and morning crews finish. Those 4 forces overlap so completely that by the time your second cup of coffee hits the porch tomorrow, what happened yesterday has been folded into soil, fur, feathers, and the bellies of small lives making more small lives. That's why you rarely see a dead bird. Knowing this, you can also predict where and when you're most likely to see one. Peak migration weeks bring more collisions. Check early mornings beneath large reflective windows and glass corners that reflect sky or trees. After big windstorms, walk the leeward side of hedges. Birds pressed low by weather sometimes fail under cover there. In heat waves, look near water features. Exhaustion clusters around relief. Along roads, if safe to glance, scan the gutter edge where small shapes collect before municipal cleanup. Under decks and porches, use a flashlight every few months so surprises don't meet you in a rush. Those are the what to watch for cues, practical without being morbid, because understanding leads to prevention. Prevention is where your care matters most. Many deaths you never see start at glass. To a bird, a reflection of trees is more trees. A reflection of sky is clear air. The fix is simple and proven. Make the glass visible. The American Bird Conservancy and groups like Flap Canada recommend external markers on the outside surface spaced no more than 2 inches apart horizontally and vertically. The 2-cow-2 rule for dots or squares, or lines 2 inches apart in one direction and 4 in the other. Commercial options like patterned film, dotted tape, or feather-friendly markers work because they break the mirror. Even soap or tempera paint grids can help in a pinch. Screens, taut netting a few inches in front of glass, or external shades also interrupt reflections. Place feeders either within 3 feet of a window, so any strike is a harmless bump at low speed, or beyond 30 feet where birds have time to maneuver. Night lighting draws migrants and increases collision risk. Use warm tone bulbs, shield fixtures downward, and set motion sensors so the yard is dark by default. Keep cats indoors or in a supervised catio. It's safer for wildlife and, frankly, for the cat. Maintain dense native shrubs so birds have honest places to hide when they're tired or chased. Messy edges save lives. Keep water fresh and shallow with stones for footing. A small dripper keeps interest high without creating hazards. If despite all this you find a dead bird, respond with respect and care. Don't touch with bare hands. Use gloves, a paper towel, or a small shovel. Double bag it, seal it, and check your local guidance for disposal. Wash hands and surfaces. In the United States and many other countries, it is illegal to keep native bird carcasses, eggs, or feathers under laws like the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. Admire the beauty. Take a photo if you need to learn. But don't collect. If you suspect a window strike, consider reporting it to a local collision monitoring project or logging an observation on iNaturalist so patterns are documented and buildings can improve. If the bird is alive but stunned, place it gently in a ventilated box in a quiet, dark place and contact a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. Don't offer food or water, and keep it away from pets and children. Most importantly, fix the cause so it doesn't happen again. Sometimes the cause is weather or age and there's nothing to fix. That too is part of the system. A tiny body returns to the soil and becomes beetle and ant and ultimately green. Cornell Lab writes often about cycles, how nutrients move from one form to another, how an ecosystem recycles energy with astonishing thrift. You don't have to watch that process to honor it. You can let it be what it is, quick, clean, and mostly unseen. What you can watch, and this is the part that keeps so many of us tending yards year after year, is the other side of the ledger. The living. The chickadee that caches a seed in your oak and returns 3 days later to claim it. The nuthatch that spirals down the trunk with a soft ank while you refill the bath. The blue jay that announces a hawk, and the yard that goes still for 2 seconds as if obeying a single will. If you're curious, run a gentle experiment this week. Each morning before the day gets bright, walk the base of your largest windows and look for feather smudges. Soft, powdery prints that mean a bird touched but survived. If you see them, mark that pain for action. Dots or tape outside at 2-inch spacing can turn a killer into a harmless mirror. Take a flashlight and scan under the deck lattice. If you spot old nests, leave them until the season ends. Then clear pathways so predators and scavengers don't bring problems closer to your door. Check the shady side of your hedges. If you find a few loose feathers with no body, that's usually a predator meal taken elsewhere, not a mystery disease. Keep a simple log for a week. Date, weather, anything unusual. You'll begin to read you. You'll hear it as a thicker bed of contact calls when everything is fine, as a quicker return to song after a jay's alarm, as fledglings brought to the low branch where the light is best and the danger is known. That's the sound of an ecosystem working, and the relative silence about death is not denial. It is a sign that the system is moving, remains the way it always has. Quickly, respectfully, out of the open and back into the loop. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, it's strange, how come I never see a dead bird? Remember that the answer isn't creepy or mystical. It's practical. Small bodies, hidden final perches, night crews of fur and feather, fast insects, early morning cleanups, and your own eyes, which skip the edges unless you train them not to. If you ever do find one, handle it safely, honor it by learning, fix the cause if you can, and return your attention to the living chorus that fills your yard each morning. That chorus is why you're here. If this changed how you think about the unseen work happening each night, tell me one thing you'll do this week. Dots on the worst pain, lights out after 10, a fresh shallow bath under shade. And if you've ever found a bird, share where and when, beneath which window, after what kind of weather, under which hedge, so the rest of us can learn from your ground truth. I read every story, and often the smallest detail becomes the fix that saves the next bright life. And because seasons change the speed of this system, add one more habit to your year. In winter, when cold slows insects and scent, scan fresh snow for small feather fans and faint tracks that show foxes or corvids carried remains away. In spring, when reflections sharpen and young birds fledge, check glass daily and pull blinds at night so indoor plants don't read as forest. In summer heat, scrub baths every 2 to 3 days with a brush and hot water, so relief doesn't turn to risk. In autumn winds, leave a little brush where it won't bother you. Messy corners become emergency rooms. None of this is dramatic. It's ordinary care, repeated. And ordinary care, repeated, is how a small yard becomes a safer world.